Good evening, everyone, whoever is watching this. Today I'm gonna be working a little bit on my new game, which is the Match 3 game. Apparently, just want to create something similar to Candy Crush Saga, and I'm using my existing project actually to convert it. So here is what I currently have. So I just made some conversion already. This is the Word Spy game. If you watched any of my tutorial, this is the game I've released a few years ago, so I have already code. So I just decided to use it to do this shortcut and gonna convert it. It's still a lot of to do, but I just started doing this. So we can select the category as previously, and now I have a grid with different pictures. I've changed, I modify a bit logic to select the squares. So for now we can select the square and we can only select the same pictures. And as you see, I'm just firing up the rays on every single axis to just check if the next picture which we're gonna drag the mouse over is the same as the selected one. So if it's not, we're not gonna select it, and if it is, I can select it. So I can select 3 of the same pictures, and then when I release it, just enabling the gravity, so everything just falling apart. So this is something I need to change today, and yeah, I will also change the behavior. So basically, when you, instead of selecting 3 pictures, what I plan to do is I plan to select 1 picture and then move it to another, like swipe it on the on any direction, so you can replace the position of 2 squares. So I think that's gonna be more user friendly, and then check if any of the 3 pictures stuck together, then I'm gonna automatically remove it. But it's gonna be something similar like other Match 3 games, and yeah, we're gonna go from there. I think that's the basic functionality I need to do, and also need to clean up some old stuff and rework the code for a bit. So quite a lot to do, but yeah, hopefully it's gonna be done within 2, maybe 3 weeks from now. Yeah, and I'm using this graphics, all the graphics from the art pack I bought like a few years ago. Never used it, so it looks quite nice. It's nothing I've done. It's basically just other people art pack which I purchased. Okay, so, and yes, all of the development is on my MacBook, so quite new to that. So we'll see how this is gonna go. So I just need to tidy up some code. If you have any question, just give me, let me know in the chat. We try to answer that. If not, I will be probably most of the time be silent and just keep working on it. Just need to refactor some of the code. And first of all, I need to fix the behavior why the square is falling down. So I think this is the function. Yes, and I'm just enabling the gravity on the specific square I'm selecting, and this is actually called from, okay, it's from this event which is fired in here. Yes, so every time I remove the squares, at least 3 squares matched, I'm just enabling, it looks like I'm enabling the gravity on the specific square, so the square is falling down. So instead of doing that, I probably will do set active. So we're gonna deactivate it for now, and I will also remove this. So let's see how this will look. Okay. So yeah, need to have at least 3 pictures. Okay, so if I select 3 of them, yeah, I just disabling this, and you can see in my grid I have the 3 squares selected. I think one bit which I will probably add is object pooling to this, so I'll be able to control how many objects I'm creating, and then basically gonna remove those 3 objects and then put another 3 on the top, so they're gonna fall down and fill up the missing gaps. So yes, let's first of all let's fix this behavior, and okay, so we probably don't want to use the gravity. I also need to change how we select. So currently in the word checker class, which is probably not the best name, but I'm gonna use it for now. It's gonna tidy up the naming of the scripts later on. So this is basically the code which I got. Okay, so one square selected. So assigning square type and then create arrays. So we don't need this word variable any longer, as this is from the previous one. So don't need this, and then the letter is probably not needed as well. Let's just quickly remove that. Searching word found. We do not think we need this if statement, because this is comparing the words, the string, and then on correct words we're gonna just disable this and then remove this word. And also I think in my word grid class, word checker still have some problems. Okay, because this is on the square, so I'm expecting the string, which is the word, so we don't need that. And now there is incorrect word, which expecting the word, and let's see where this one is. Okay, so we don't need this word, and that's gonna create some more problems. So this is the letter data I'm passing when we select the squares, so I guess we don't need the letter. Okay, and I think there is still here incorrect word, so the cross line. So okay, so this is the crossing line we had in the previous game in the word spy, where we crossed the word which we found. So I guess we do not need this class at all. I'm gonna just comment it for now and gonna remove it later, but okay, so now of course that's gonna create more problems. We don't need the searching word list, so I do not need this class. No. Okay, so just gonna comment this. Let's save everything and switch to Unity. So if I hit play now, Seems like the behavior changed. I think this is because of that F statement which I comment out. So I can still select it, but it doesn't really give me. Yeah, on the MacBook the snapping is not perfect. I'm using the third-party tool to actually arrange the windows on the screen, but it's so much nicer on the Windows. So yeah, I need to arrange it a little bit more, and maybe just hide it here. Okay, so now if I think I've broken the behavior in the word checker. Word checker, and I think this is here. So okay, so let's check this. So we need to do some debugging on this code. Now let's see what is happening. Why I cannot select. So we have 5 board, so it's currently getting the words which were displayed at the bottom before, and is searching for certain word, which is taking, okay, so it's taking the words, each of the words, and then is going 5 times over this, which is not correct. So we probably do not need this loop, and we do not need this, right? So we will get just this bit, and if we gonna call the check words, we're gonna check how many selected square list. So this is called from check word from here, right? So if we select more than 2 squares, then we're checking the word, and then we're going for each time we gonna get this here, right? And then that's the reason why the pop-up was displayed, because we were increasing the completed words count. So this is not correct also, and we're gonna call it check word complete. Okay, so I think that should theoretically fix the problem. If I hit play now, right, we don't have the pop-up, but for some reason we cannot really select the another grid square, but the actually the rays are fired properly, but okay, so I think what has happened is the incorrect word disabling the selection. So if selected true, okay, so the incorrect word is basically destroying this. So if I will comment this out, I guess we should get the right behavior now. So if I select 1, 2 and 3, and they disappeared, and for some reason the gravity is enabled on the other squares. So if I maybe I just move this game over here, it'll be easier. So if I get this one now, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. For some reason, the other squares have the gravity enabled, although I have commented out that enabling the gravity. Let's see again. So so this is the square. Not sure how I should arrange this so it's clear. So this have the collision box, and have the rigid body, and okay. So if I select this now, use gravity is enabled. Use gravity. Right, so I guess this is okay, I'm just enabling it from here, so we don't need this actually. And if I save it now, this should give me, I guess, proper behavior. So let's move it. Okay, so now if I select those 4, that's right, everything is stay there and nothing is falling down. So I cannot select 3 different pictures, I can select only the 3 the same pictures. And then deselect it, select it again. Okay, seems like everything is working fine. So, right, and we need to select at least 3 pictures to remove it, right? So let's try to get a bit more. So 4 pictures, they work fine. Okay, so all is good. I think I will need to add the object pooling to this. So because currently I'm just deactivating these pictures, although I'm not sure if the object pooling will be, yeah, the object pool will be fine, because we can actually remove this old object and then spawn the new one at the top of the row of the column where we actually removed the pictures and the squares. So they're gonna just push everything down, and this square should just be dropped over here. So we need to actually count how many positions down this need to go without using the gravity, because otherwise I will have to add all the box colliders to all of the squares, and that's gonna be very hard on the performance, especially when the board will be bigger. So yeah, okay, so let's do that. We're gonna count how many steps this square need to go down. So we already have something. I've been actually working on some solution. So remove grid is called on the remove grid, and this is called whenever we select at least 3 pictures. So I guess this 3 is probably word checker. So let's move it to the public int, and that's gonna be okay, so maybe the name is not the best, but at least it's something we can set from the editor. So that's gonna be here, and we're gonna replace that selection. Where was right, okay, so at least it's something. And right, let's see if this, I mean, it's working here. That we already tested. So okay, so on the clear selection we are removing this, and then in the word grid we're just subscribing to that event, and we're executing this function. Okay, so this loop is going through all of the squares in the grid, right? And check the position X of all of it, and then we go adding the steps. So for each, so the move data, what is this? Okay, so we have the index of the square to move and the target index of the square. So I guess I need to print some debug logs. And we have a move data, right? So let's use this loop, and log message, and this is the is very handy. This is basically, this all comment was generated by the AI, which I'm currently using, the Copilot. So instead of me typing all of this, which I want to print all of the information, is just automatically predicted what I wanted to type. So if you never use it, this is basically the GitHub Copilot, which I have. So we can actually ask comments about, ask questions about the code. I already did that for some, for some bits to get the answer. But yeah, this is very handy sometimes, especially when you're stuck on something or you have a question about the code. Instead of searching through the internet, you can actually use the GitHub Copilot to get the quick answer. So we're gonna get this, and okay, let's save it. And then inside the editor, first thing I want to do is word checker. So this is the variable I exposed. Let's set this to 1. So every single square I select is going to be removed. At least that's how it's supposed to be. So if I hit play, not perfect on Mac, but I must say the new Max is very quick, especially for this small game. So okay, so every time I select the square, it's removed, right? So we can even get the checkerboard game, right? So that's that works. So if I clear, I can get the index of the selected square. So if I hit this, okay, why this didn't print the first one? Interesting. All right, it didn't print because I think there is nothing above. So let's get this. So we should have something on the second one. Right. So the square to move is a square 0, which is this one above, and then target square is square 1, which is this, and then moves is 1, right? Okay, so that's good. And the reason is saying that is because when I create this grid, I'm just actually going with the index from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So we are going in the column order, not the row order. Because usually what you would have is basically indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But for some reason I didn't go that direction. I went in the opposite direction. Not sure why, but as I said, this is the old code which I refactoring and changing and to behave properly. Okay, so we can actually move this, use this move data to push this square down to that position. So now we need to actually store how much we need to move on the y direction. So I think this should be part of the move data. So target position. Is that move data? Okay. So we can get the vector 3, and that's gonna be the target position. Target position. Target position. Okay. So now that move data would be here, and okay, creating the list. So the target position would be we need to catch the target position. Move to okay, so the move data need to cache that. Where is that? Steps. Okay. So that's gonna be the steps. So I guess the position will be target position for the square would be the, for example, this would be the new vector 3, and then the x position would be the position of the, because we need to just push this square on the y, so the x position would be the position of the current square. So this is the game object. So I guess this is the current position for that. So transfer, I already had it. Yeah. The Y position would be the first, the square position. Okay, so this is the index of the square. Oh, I can't remember what squaring column. What is this squaring column? So we're looping through all of the squares. We got squaring column because we're looping through the column order, and we're counting how many steps we need to do. Right. So for each move is one step. Squares to move is so this is the index. So if we found it, we're gonna break this loop. Okay, so I think the MD data is the MD index is the target square. No, square index. So this is the okay, let's try. So square in the column, that's gonna be the square in the column dot add okay, so we're gonna move right, so we're gonna move this position here, and the target position, no, so okay, let's see what the square in the column is. So I'm gonna get this position Y and then Z, and now let's get that tested. So the target position would be the target position where we want to move, and then we want to set this square, the selected square, to that position. So you want to set the selected square to that position, but first of all let's print that target position. Okay, and that's gonna be the target position. Okay, so now at least we will know where the square need to be moved, and then we will figure out how to move it. So if I select the square now, okay, so the position for this square is this, and now let's see in our game scene which square is that. So this square half is not this one. It's not this one as well. It's 470 on Y. So 470 gonna be okay, I'm just a bit lost with this code, so I think I've made a lot of wrong names on these variables, and I'm just actually, so let's actually breakpoint this. Sorry, just to get, I hate this snapping windows. So let's actually just break it so I can figure out what's going on, because it's a bit weird. Okay, so if I get this one selected, we hit this move data, right? So we have selected square 1, and then selected square is actually okay, is 1, right, and then the index is 1, 0, 1. That's right. Okay, so the move data will be now, I don't need this, so the X position will be this, and then the selected squares is 1, and we're gonna go 1 through this loop, and then square list is 36, and we're just checking if that use position, right, so what are we doing here? Alright, so the used X position is basically indicating the position of each column of this grid, right? So, and this is the list, right? Because if we have more than one square removed, then we are removing from different columns. So for each column we need to know how much moves all of the squares above need to make to actually fall down on the proper position, right? So this is for, it's not the best name, but at least I know what's this. Okay, and then if it's not contained, then the step is 1, right? All square above. So the square index is the selected square, right? So all square above is, oh come on, how to step into on the Mac. Go to yeah, I'm not the best on the Mac yet, so is it gonna be F10? F10 is over, so step F9, no, that's breakpoint. Okay, I hit F5, oh come on, let's just go again. So this one here is F10, maybe Shift F10, that's gonna be I'm just gonna Google it. Okay, let's see. So, right, it's F11. But this colliding with the shortcut from the MacBook. Oh, so is Alt F11. No, come on. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna figure out that one later, but I will need to know this. Right, so this, all of the steps squares above is giving me just one object, which is the object object, and where is that component? Grid square with the index 0, so the one above, that's fine. And now if we'll need to go through all of the one above and then assign how many steps we need to do. Right, so move data is okay, so the move data is empty. So if there would be any move data, we would go and add another steps to that, right? So this is going that direction, and now if we're gonna go this here, right, so we have the new position. So the square in the column, so all square above is basically square in the column. So the all square above, this is not the target position, this is the source position, and the target position would be the square index. So this is gonna be the target position. So this is gonna be the target position, right? Do I need to stop it to modify? Oh no, sorry, this is the MacBook shortcut. So that's gonna be this, right? Oh, come on. Square, that is the square list. I'm just very slow today. Select the square square list. I cannot copy now. Copy. Control C. Let's try this. Right, okay. It's the same as Windows, right? So this and this is dot. Theoretically, the square index would be but that's the selected square, it's not the square below. So we need to find the square below the selected square. Okay, so this is the get all square above from the column, and do we have the square below? No. Okay, so we need another function, right? So we're gonna modify this, get all square below get all get okay, and then target position, that's gonna get square below put selection, and then target position is the square we selected, right? So that's gonna be the square we selected. So the one thing I need to do is this, right? Because we need to match the position, and we need to have the position of the square less. Is that right? And the position of the square need to be So the y position is for this square is minus 0, 0, 5, and for this square is, oh, that is the y, or is z? No, it's a y. 0, 0, 5. Something is lying to me on this, because right, okay, so this is here 7 and minus, so this is the less, right, so this is less. Okay, so we can use this function, and we need to just return from here. We don't want to return the list, we want to return just one object, so we don't need the list. Okay, so return this, otherwise we're gonna return the null. Right, so we can get this function now, and we can give that a shot. So this is the square square below selection is equal to get square below selection. Right, okay, so this is the square below the selection theoretically, and now the target position will be the square below the selection. And of course we need to check if the square below the selection is not, no, come on, if square below selection is not equal null. Okay, right, so theoretically we will get this. So square below the selection would be, okay, so the target position would be minus this, so that would be the 360 minus 370. Right, I guess this is the rounding error. 174 on the Y. Square below the selection. Let's print this index. Log as get component grid square dot get square index. Okay, so let's try that. So if I select this one now, So 0, 1, 2. Right, so square below selection is index 2. And square below selection, the position is that. So this, theoretically, this should be that. Once again, clear. And right, so theoretically, that should be why this? So we have this square need to do one move. Oh, sorry, that's should be this 174. I'm just not thinking today. Okay, that should be this. Right. Yeah. Because we need to move on the place where we actually remove the square. Come on. I'm not moving this one. Okay, so -3, -370. Word grid. Still not matching the values. Just wonder why. Oh, we can do, instead of doing that, we can go the other way as well. We can get the square scale. Okay, so let's try a different way. So we're gonna measure how much the square is, the total height, and then grid square offset. So we already have the square offset. Okay, so total square height would be the square scale need to rename this, so the normal letter data, so the total square height would be the normal letter data right, so let's so this is the letter, and we need the background, not the letter, and then selected board. What's that? Right, so this is the board, and we need the grid square prefab. grid square prefab, we instantiate that, and then the grid square prefab is grid square. Okay, so we have the back image, so we are interested about the size of this sprite from the back image. Okay, and this is the sprite which we have. All of those sprites I think are the same size. Yeah. Okay, let's for now just get this just for test. So public sprite grid back sprite. Okay, and then in that bit here we want to get right. Okay, that's gonna be our total height, and then we need to move this square move data. So in the move data, what we need to do, we need to get this currently the square above. So this square above is gonna be the square in column. So square in a column dot transform dot position dot x square in a column dot transform dot position dot y plus the total square height dot right, and then square in a column transform dot position dot z. Right, so okay, so if we will have to move for the same square, that's gonna be fine as well. So we don't need this. I think this function will be useful to find the square below the selection, but not for now. So we can get rid of this as well. Let's format and let's go back. So theoretically we should get the proper position right now, and we have some problems. What problem do we have? Oh, I didn't assign the back picture, which is this. So let's drag and drop this one. Let's save it. Okay, play foot. Okay, so theoretically I click on this, remove this, and then position to move will be 152. I guess this is not the correct. Okay, let's get so let's get this rid of this one for now. we have this. Okay. No. Just no, that's not gonna be the proper way to do it. How do we stack the squares? Spawn get squares. So what we're doing here is grid square prefab set parent. Right, because the parent is not at the 0, 0 position. Is okay. 0, 1. So this is, and we're setting the position for the square, right? Right, so we are already taking the square rectangle from here. Okay, so that's explain actually. So we wanna get this. And I think that should do it. Okay, let's get that 690, right? 220. So the square, this position y is right, because this is the scale, but when we actually set this up, we're getting the local scale and we're getting the offset. So this is the 1.4. Okay. Right, so that should be, theoretically that is good. Here, okay, so right, $1.4, and the current position square in the column, and then component 370. Okay, square in the column is all square above, right? 370. And that is the square index square index 0, and that is really 370. Why is that? So the square above, which is this, is 370. Next one. Okay, come on. Okay, that's... Can't believe this. Okay, that's... I think that's the... If it's not this one, 322, right? So word grid is better. Is better, but oh yeah, because we're just getting only, I think I have commented out the scale where I get, oh no, the scale is there. So that is 1.4, and we also need, so this is the offset. Square offset y row number. Okay, anyway, let's try to move the square now. So the square in column, the square in column, transform dot position is equal to, okay, just for testing. Theoretically that should move, but who knows. Yes, we have it. Yes, that's... Yes, all of them going fine. So if I remove one, then all of the above moving by one. That's fine. Okay, I guess we have a Tetris game right now. Okay. Or Supper, not sure if anyone played that game, but the Supper on the old Windows was... I mean, it didn't remove the squares, it just revealed what is underneath. But anyway, so we have that, right? So theoretically, if I will get more data now, so word grid minimum is 3, save. So if I get this now, if I will have 3, 1, 2, 3, that's fine, yeah. But in this situation, all of those 3 above should move to position, which is not right. All of them moved just 1 position, not 2. So that's the problem. So theoretically this one will be the same. Yeah, those 3 move just 1 position. They should move 2 more. Okay, so all is good if the minimum is for 1. Let's try again. Right, so for 1 is fine, yeah. Okay, so there is something wrong in this loop then, where we actually setting the moves. Okay, let's actually debug it. So that's 3. we're gonna get this one. Oh, that's perfect situation. So this square should move by 3 steps. So would be good to have better name and then indicate which column is this. But okay, let's try for now without any modification. So the selected squares would be 3 and that index 1, 2, 3, right? So we need to move the square 0 by 3 positions down on the same. So the step is 1, all square above is 1. So we're looping through all of the squares to add the steps to that. So we have currently just 1 step. So that's fine. So we're moving just 1 position. Then for another square we should what? Why we went? Sorry, I will answer the question once I read it. So no, I'm just creating grid by hand. What I do, I will stop debugging. I think is something wrong with this F statement. But what I'm doing is I have the grid prefab. So in my prefabs folder, I have the grid square prefab. So this is the prefab that basically every single grid have it. And then I just implemented two pictures, really, added 2 pictures. One is in the front, so this is the beaver, and later on I will do some animation on it, and the one on the back, right? So this prefab is passed on my world grid class, and I'm using this prefab to basically instantiate the objects, as you can see here. I'm setting all of the sprites for the object, and I'm setting the parent in this regards is basically the world grid object, so all of the objects are stacked below. And after that, after I spawn, I adding to the square list, which is the list of the game objects. And then after that, I'm just oh yeah, this is the direction I'm going. So the first index is, I'm going the column direction, but this can be easily changed. So after I've spawned the grids, all of the grid, they stack on the top of each other. So then I setting the position. So for the position, because this is the sprite, I just getting the rect transform and getting the the back sprite to have the bigger, because the back sprite is basically the bigger picture. So this is the size of the grid. So I'm just getting the sprite, setting the transform, and then getting the scale, because some of the I think this is basically the World Spy game which I implemented a few years ago. So before some of the sprites have the different scale, I could scale it up. So I just making sure I just have the right scale, and then this square offset is basically the offset on the offset between the squares. So there is a small offset between them, right? So this is the square offset, and this is basically I'm just going through all of the square list and just checking which row is it and which column, and then I'm just setting the position for all of them. It's not very efficient because this should be cached before, but yeah. And I'm just starting from the starting position. So the starting position is basically the first square position, which is the start position. If I remember correctly, I was passing the start position to this class where we want to despawn the grid. Yeah, the top position. So this is the position I'm just passing. Where's that? Is word grid, current game data grid. That's fine. Yeah, the top position. So I'm just basically how I find the top position was the placing the UI object onto the scene, and then basically get the Y position from it, and I just passed it here. Yeah, it's very simple grid. So if you are interested about this implementation, the whole code is on the YouTube channel. If you go onto the WordSpy tutorial, there is, I think, the second on or the third episode of that project where I actually explaining how I create the grid, and you will have exactly the same code after watching that video, if you wanna. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. If you have any more, just don't be shy and ask. Yeah, okay. So I just gonna go back to debugging that stuff, because I really want this behavior to be fixed today. So I think what is happening right now, let's get to the debug as well. I mean, again, so if I let's get the better scenario. Yeah, no problem. Is yeah, you might actually find a better implementation of the grid. You know, you have some packages as well if you want to use it, but for me, I mean, this is very simple game, and WordSpy is very simple game as well, so it's probably not worth to get any, you know, fancy behavior. Well, yeah, well, whatever you like, you may use this code, and you may find a lot of, you know, assets on the asset store with it. And yeah, simplicity is probably sometimes is the best option, because it's easier to debug. Okay, so with this, I would really like to have like 3 squares in the stack on the top of each other, so it would be easier to debug. Oh yeah, I have it. Okay, so for the first one, so this is the first one, which will be fine, right? Okay, so this is the second square we have, so this is the square 15, so it's the second, and used X position. Oh, I see. I'm just checking. Essentially this F statement is preventing me to add more than one step in each column. Yeah, even I comment that, but that was fine if you have like a single selection. Okay, let's comment this, and let's see. Okay, so if I let's get the better situation. Yeah, I think this should be good. Yeah, that works. Okay, yeah, so all is good, I think, now. Yeah, we have everything down. Cool. Now I will probably, well, this is not the third tree, so anything like that, so when they push down, we should respawn the new grids square on the top of each column, and then so we have always completed, you know, we have always the same grid but with different pictures. So now I need to get the position, just catch the position above each of the, the top position, and then the X value for each column. And then when we remove any of the, for example, one square from this, I should spawn one grid per each column. So I think that's the next step. Yeah, and they should be starting from there and then moved together with the rest of them, or maybe a bit delay in that. Okay, and we can always have different number of columns, because I'm not sure why it's giving me always that. I think I save it to the binary. So recent game progress. Okay, so I have just you see, I have the 4 columns now, but yeah, there is a bigger grid, and then also I need to change, because this is obviously from the old game. I have the data here, and what I did for these puzzles, I have created the data to hold the size of the grid. So if you see, I have created a custom inspector where you can actually create the board yourself. So each level is decided by this data. I'm just passing the list of the data for each of the category, and I have designed, how big the board will be. So for example, for this one, for the countries, as you see, I have like a 12 by 12 grid, and they always matching, each of this of the column, and each of this grid square is basically represented whatever we have here. So just to give you example, the current game data was this. The current data is a hobbies. Can I think that's going to be too much change to actually change it now, because just passing that data in, but yeah, I have like a different, different size of this. So what my plan is, I'm gonna reuse this data, but instead of defining the words and then letters here, I just gonna get the position, and for example, I'm gonna add some kind of like special items in the game, like a bombs, or maybe like a lightning or something like that. And how I gonna detect if that should be awarded is basically I gonna define like put for example the B for the bomb in the grid. So if the player will destroy that position, I just gonna give him the bomb or something like that, and that's gonna be the hidden item. So that's gonna be reuse of all of this custom inspector. And again, if you want to know how I did it, is basically one of the episodes of the World Spy Game tutorial series. So I'm just going over how to create this inspector and how to do it all. It's a bit old, but it's working on all of the new Unity versions, so shouldn't run into any issue. I mean, I'm just running this game right now, just modifying some behavior, so all this should be good. Yeah, and we have some out of range exception, right, because the board index, yeah, the board data, that's gonna be changed anyway. Okay, I think for now I will be leaving as it is. So my next step is to basically get this spawning the squares, but before I do that, I need to implement the object pooling, because yeah, I want to have control over the lifespan of the every single object, and this this disabled object will be removed from the list once they fall down, or I'm gonna do something with it, like animation, add animation, stuff like that. But then once I remove them, I need to respawn the new one at the top, and that should be either reuse the old object, that would be ideal situation, or those three objects will be held at the back or will be disabled, and then when the next, the player removed next three objects, instead of the spawning new one, I'm gonna reuse these three, so that's gonna be saving on the memory. But if the player remove 4 and we will only have 3, I will just spawn one more and we'll keep it in the list. So this list will grow up to some point and will not, constantly growing and reshuffling the memory. So that should save some battery on the mobile devices as well. Anyway, it's always good to actually add, think about the performance when you're developing. So yeah, that's the next step, and I think I'm gonna do that in the next live stream. Probably it's gonna be tomorrow, but yeah, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, okay. So yeah, if you have any questions about any of it, you're interested about the implementation, you are free to ask, and we try to answer it. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and yeah, see you again soon.